All right. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for sharing in our Black History Month celebration with the National Coalition for Sexual Freedom. My name is Ruby Johnson. I am the chair for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee with the NCSF. And I have been tasked, our committee decided that we want to do something special that NCSF has never done in its 2 decades, which is it's going to honor our trailblazers who have contemporarily changed the landscape for sexual liberation. Um, and so I would like to start that with Dr. Lexx James. And so thank you, Dr. Lexx. I'll call you Dr. Lexx for being here. And I think you are an absolute phenomenal woman. I remember when I first was introduced to you back in, I think it was 2016.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
2016, yes. And so I would like for you to introduce yourself, who you are, what you do to our audience.
So thank you for having me. I am Dr. Lex, she, her, doctor pronouns. I am a black pansexual southerner, a recovering Baptist who is a parent, and I identify as fat, and I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, as well as a couple of other letters: certified certified sexuality educator supervisor, and just sexologist. I believe in talking about sex positive sexuality education as well as shame free sex ed from womb to tomb.
Oh, yes, yes. Womb to tomb. Absolutely, absolutely. And why you have been selected as one of our history makers for this month is because of all that you have done over your career, which is absolutely phenomenal. But there are some things that I think the world may not know that needs to
Oh,
be highlighted. Unless you're in academia, people may not recognize all of the phenomenal stuff that you
yeah.
do. So, will you share with the audience some of those achievements?
So something I'm most proud of that actually took off more than I planned it to. I planned it for me, and then it turns out people really liked it. Was my Beat Postpartum Depression project, which is a children's book. And
Uh-huh.
it's these are my eyes, this is my nose, this is my vulva, these are my toes. That just normally talks about body parts and gender variance and who has what body part and who may not have what body part, but their identity is still valid. And it includes children from all sorts of backgrounds in an animated version. It's almost a silly little rhyme. There's something that's a little bit off canter, but it rhymes for the most part. And my children love it. I wanted something inclusive to read to my own kids that normalized the use of body parts. And I needed a project for when I had my second child that would help me stay in the field, but
Mhm.
not as active. And so that project really did help save me around my postpartum anxiety that I tend to have when I birth a baby.
Right, right. And you have, is it, am I correct in this that you're having another baby?
I am. We are currently baking another human, another parasite, another hater, another gem. However you, it depends on the day. But
Right.
yeah, so the baby should be here come summer, and we're just baking away.
Yay, yay, yay. And I am the founder of Poly Dallas Millennium. And you actually, in 2016, when you came to our event, you actually prompted us having a policy around breastfeeding.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, because we actually got some feedback in one of our surveys where somebody was like, and there was somebody breastfeeding in the middle of the workshop. And y'all don't have an area for breastfeeding. I'm like, well, let me normalize the entire conference is an area
Oh,
for breastfeeding. So we added that to our policy.
oh my
Yes.
goodness. One, thank you for making that such a safe space in the first place. Because carrying around milk filled titties is not easy when you're trying to focus on what's going on around you. So thank you. And then
You're
I'm so
welcome.
glad that you're able to take feedback and make it a blanket safe space. Too often, chest feeding nursing isn't
Uh-huh.
considered, especially amongst black and brown folks. We're deterred
Uh-huh.
from it.
Right.
So thank you for creating a supportive folks for people and their
Yeah.
infants.
I think it's absolutely yes. That's a whole nother conversation.
Child, child, I'll put my soapbox right away.
Right. Right. And so what about beyond your book? What about as a professional? Because we, sexologists do have an organization that is its professional entity. You want to share your contribution there?
Yes, so I hold the board position right now. It's the VP of membership for the American Association of Sexuality Educators, Counselors, and Therapists,
Hmm.
ASECT for short. And it is the oldest certifying body of sexuality professionals that are educators, counselors, and therapists. And so I have it on pretty good authority from one of the previous past presidents that I am the first Black vice president of membership for ASECT at this point. I
Yes.
was also the first Black certified sexuality educator in Missouri and also the educator supervisor in Missouri, and I'm also the first Black sexuality educator supervisor in Pennsylvania.
Yes. Yes. Damn right. You are an inspiration and a mentor for Minty. You just
Wow.
really, really have no clue. And I did say Minty. Um, okay. And then in the world of scholarship, do
Mhm.
you want to share about your chapter?
Oh, yes. So, a few years ago, I graduated with a doctorate degree. And I study the pathology of Black women's kinky fantasies.
Mhm.
Specifically, I studied rape fantasy and set the precedence if it existed or not for Black women, and what the tie to was for power. And so I am in a book, the An Intersectional Approach to Sex Therapy.
Yes, got it.
And so edited by Reese Malone, Marla Renee Stewart, Marietta Gary Smith, and Dr. James C. Wadley. And my book is talking about some of that dissertation work about trying to depathologize what it means when Black women actually have kink fantasies, when Black women want to engage in power play and relinquish power and be able to do that in safe ways because we've been taught to amalgamate power in order to thrive throughout our lives. So I get to talk about that in that book chapter and what that looks like and how it shows up in the therapy room because that's the other hat I wear as a sexuality professional. I get to be a therapist too.
Yes, yes. And I think that's something we definitely want to highlight at the end of this interview because as a therapist, people don't realize that um, there's not as many of us out there in the
Word.
sexuality field. And so people really, really are hungry for knowing who is the best therapist to go to. I'm probably sure you have a waiting list, but still, people need to know that you're out there. And so I'll get all your information and it'll be posted on our website. In addition, hopefully, you can share in the interview where they can find you as a sex
Awesome.
therapist. Okay, so who was the most influential person for you?
Um, so in our field, everybody pretty much says Audre Lorde and bell hooks. I'm going to go a little bit different. Two people are super important for me. And so that would be Mae Jemison
Okay.
and Whoopi Goldberg. I'll tell you why.
Whoopi.
I
Okay,
know,
okay,
I know.
okay.
I'm so in love with Whoopi. Protect Whoopi. So Mae Jemison was the first Black female astronaut to
Hmm.
go into space, and I have a background in physics, pre med. Physics tended to be the easier science for me when I thought I was going to go to med school, and so I was a physicist. But I remember seeing this Black woman who literally shot for the stars and got to reach them.
Uh-huh.
And in a world, a Black girl growing up as a Baptist in the South, who
Uh-huh.
was told that you're not supposed to show everybody how smart you are, and you're not supposed to let people know that you're strong, and nobody's going to want you in this way. Seeing and learning about her that she shot for the stars and she was successful meant all the world to me growing up, that I can reach for stars and I can transcend these worldly boundaries that are put upon us. So May jumps in. And then Whoopi Goldberg, because so I have the privilege of being lighter skinned, and
Mm-hmm.
I have a very dark twin.
Mm-hmm.
So there were stark differences in how we were treated. My twin is also male. So there were also stark differences in how we were treated. And I grew up thinking I was very ugly for a very long time.
Okay.
And being called ugly and called unwanted and feeling unlovable and all of these different ways, despite like my light skin privilege. And Whoopi Goldberg, who was never ugly, who was funny and herself and trailblazed and all of these different roles and transformed herself in all of these different ways, but still had her own kind of spunk about her. I saw that role model and I was like, can I do that? Can I
Mm-hmm.
be in all of these different places but still be me?
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. I want to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
so that helped me like learn how to be myself in all situations, even if I had to slightly switch it up or slightly figure out how to navigate a room. I was always myself first, and that was a long lesson that it took, but I took that from Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh, that is amazing. I love that story. I love that story. I just learned some few things new about you.
Thank you.
So what, that was very inspirational. However, I want to ask you what inspires you to do the work that you do, to make the contribution you make.
I got in this work at first because I didn't want to go to med school anymore. I didn't want to heal people from inside out. I used to want to do gender affirmation surgeries for free
Hmm.
and go fix like vestigial tails in
Uh-huh.
whatever country
Uh-huh.
where it was stigmatized. And then I realized I wanted to heal people inside out, but it's grown in over a decade of doing this work of I want to give melanated people permission to thrive in their
Yeah.
romantic relationships. And you know this, being a therapist and as a person I
Uh-huh.
refer to quite often, I'm like, hey, go see Ruby. I'm not licensed in Texas, but I know people who are.
Right.
Uh, the idea of melanated folks not literally not being allowed to legally love one another,
Hmm.
right, in this country, and then the examples and models that are held up before us are typically staunched in some type of patriarchal toxicity where
Right.
somebody is harmed quite
Uh-huh.
regularly. And I just want
Hmm.
to give us the permission to thrive and to know that we can succeed even without models and
Hmm.
even without society's support of what that
Hmm.
love might look like.
Right. Right.
So that's the work I'm starting to be really housed in and dedicated to.
Well, I appreciate that because as a result of that mission or that stewardship, you have a great workbook that I use with
Oh,
my clients.
yay.
Yeah, and they love seeing a picture of them
Hmm.
on the front of the workbook and language and written in a way that can be applied to them in whatever context. It's not heteronormative. It's very
No,
much
yeah.
cognizant of the different types of dynamics from open. I use it with open couples.
Good. That was
Yes.
the intent. The intent was not to have our we can love abundantly,
Uh-huh.
right? And I think that's black folks specifically and melanated
Hmm.
folks have been taught that love is scarce. And
Uh-huh.
because we live in a society that's fulfilled with white supremacy and love has been scarce for us.
Hmm.
So we've learned that and I want to switch that narrative. Our love is abundant. We
Yeah.
don't necessarily have to be tied to one person. We
Hmm.
don't have to be tied to one idea. It's
Uh-huh.
abundant. There's so many different places and ways that we can access love and care and intimacy. So that's why I wrote the Black Girl's Guide to Couples Intimacy, because I want us to practice that and to know about that
Uh-huh.
abundance.
Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And so what should be on people's radar for you that's coming up?
Good question. So some things I'm actually doing is I've started to figure out that my role is a little bit as a gate breaker, right? So
Mhm.
there are door openers. I like to break gates instead. Sometimes I'm the first in the room. Sometimes I'm often the youngest of the first in the room, specifically of Black female identified
Mhm.
folks. And
I just want
I
to
want
people,
others.
even though she looks 25, she is over 30.
I am. I am. I'm owning that. I am 35. Please know I've been waiting my whole life to get to 35. Okay. The knowing that you get at 35, I'm so excited and quite unapologetic. I
Yes.
finally got the effort in my system. I ain't had that 10 years ago.
Yes, it feels good. Okay.
So, growth. But that being said, yeah, trying to knock down gates. So I am teaching classes on how to become a sexuality professional, and you
Mhm.
don't have to have a degree. You don't have to follow after me.
Mhm.
We're gonna figure out the best way for you because we need more folks. Our field is
Okay.
actually quite small, so we need more folks. And if you want to be here, we can. There's room for you. Even if you
Okay.
think somebody does the exact same thing, there's room for you. So that and CEU courses to teach other professionals to be comfortable with sexuality so they can
Mhm.
stop doing harm to people. So
Mhm.
I or you or one of our many colleagues now have to fight through some stigmas that have been reinforced by other therapists
Mm.
because they just didn't know.
Mhm.
So they can know and be more comfortable too. And so they can also do no harm, as their
Right.
oath often says. So CEU courses and then some webinars that'll be up on my website probably mid February
Okay.
about sex positive parenting and some tips
Yes.
around adolescent sexual development, what's normal, what are some red flags that you might want to look for, check out,
Mhm.
how to be a sex positive parent based in actual theoretical science and research, what to do when you've already taught the genital names, what's the next step in
Mhm.
being a sex positive parent, and what do you do. So those are the things that are coming out, and then I have been housed with writing a book, so I'm hoping to get the book proposal out over the summer
Mhm.
and see what goes. And then Talk Sex with Dr. Lex is the podcast that is starting. So I am taking interviews now, and the launch date for that is May 28th.
Yay. Yay. Okay, so May 28th, 2022.
Yep.
And do you have and your mid-February
Mhm.
launch is for your CEUs
Yep, and
and
webinars. And
everything.
some of the classes you're able to register for now.
Okay.
And one is an ongoing supervision series because I am a supervisor. So you can have supervisory hours as
Uh-huh.
well. And you can get CEs from it.
All right, I'm making notes to make sure I highlight those.
Thank you.
Okay, and I think it's perfect timing because we are Black History Month for you to have your webinars
Yay!
launch. Okay, so where can people find you? Where is that website?
So you can always find me at Lex, LEXXSEXDOC.com. So LexSexDoc.com. And I am LexSexDoc across all social media. So that's a Twitter, an Instagram, a TikTok, and Facebook. So
TikTok
any of
channels.
those.
Awesome.
For TikTok is hard. But yes. So you can reach out to me on any of those platforms. You can also email info@lexsexdoc.com. You can go to my website and take a quiz if you're trying to figure out what's the best service for you. There's a quiz that's always fun to figure out what best service might serve you. And so any of those work. And I'm pretty much around until this baby comes out. And then I'm taking 2 months off. So get it
Well,
in while you can.
thank you so much for taking the time on a very in a very busy, fulfilled life. You have always, oh my God, have just been a great supporter for all of my projects, and I'm getting a little emotional.
Always.
Um, I just got much love for you, boo.
Always.
Much
Oh,
love.
it is. I am just a reflection of you.
Oh, you're so
So I just
beautiful.
get to reflect it right back at you because I have felt the same, the love, the warmth from me waddling around at Polly Dallas because I was super pregnant at one time. Try to the time I think we went in the swim pool. I've never felt such relief in my life. So having just a great time and helping me build my own community in the field. Like you were clutching that. So I appreciate you all day, half the night, every day.
Thank you, love. All right, talk to you soon.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.